up, everybody? We are live. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. Gemma, thank you as always for showing up. And you actually showed up early. You showed up before the live even started, so I appreciate that. And today, what I would like to talk about is core values. How do your core values show up? And what I love so much about core values is just like anything else, the more you practice them, the more foundated they become. And the more foundated certain things become, the easier your journey becomes. Kind of reminds me of in MMA, as a fighter, you want to be the strongest, fastest, most technically skilled. And you want to have cardio and fighter intelligence. And the same is true in life. In life, if your core values are on par, things become easier, faster. And today, what's up, Rick? Today, I really want to focus on practicing certain exercises to get you moving forward on your journey in ways you might not have known that you could. Because when we practice these exercises, you show up more authentically for yourself. And when you show up authentically for you, the people who need to be in your corner are going to end up finding you. And it makes for a fun journey. So, Rick, what I was talking about was getting ready to practice our core values, and how a core value is just like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. So how you doing today?
Rock solid, man. Rock solid. It's like I'm excited to play with you. Today is I just jumped off the phone, so I'm firing on all cylinders. Like I was actually filling out this questionnaire for a friend of mine who's another executive CFO. He owns a company, a very a prosperous company, high impact individual, and he gave me this questionnaire to fill out to play with him deeper at another level. And I'm like, okay, so how am I today? I'm leaning into the edge a little bit of what I want to experience, and as I'm describing all of these things on my life and where I'm at, I'm like, dude, I must look like I'm superhuman. Is this really the truth? Are you really at this place of peak performance in all aspects of your life? Are you telling the truth? Are you being real with yourself? Am I really at a 10 plus in my marriage? Yeah, that's the truth, man. It's like, that's the real deal. Are the relationships, my relationships are harmonious and agreeable overall? Yes, 10 plus. I'm satisfied with my spiritual relationship. Yeah, 10 plus. Like, I'm satisfied with I'm ready to break through the next level of business and career. And yes, 10 plus. Like, I'm always breaking through to the next level because my values are guiding me in the direction. And so when I answer these questions and I'm like, dude, I must be a master of language or something, because I'm not looking for something that I don't want to experience. I'm moving in the direction of what I do. And yes, it's uncomfortable sometimes. It's like totally not like, so yeah, I'm here. I've showed up fully to play with you, dude. And let's rock this thing, cock this thing. That we can't get this wrong, dude.
So I want to applaud you, because 10 plus all around the board, you can't beat that. That's what it's about. So what we're going to do is let's try and 10 plus everybody's life today.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it. Gemma says, what's up, Rick?
Gemma's in the house. Look out. Come on. What's up, Gemma? Good to see you.
I love it. I love it. So one thing that I always do is, one, you said you're really clear on what you want and what you want to play with. And
Yeah.
so having that clarity is a game changer. You know, it's an absolute game changer. So much so, in life we have mentors. And I personally say everyone's a mentor to some extreme. Some teach us what to do and some teach us what not to do. And I remember my dad would always want me to plan ahead. His goal was like, plan ahead so you have an idea of the structure that you want to create and where you want to go and what part you want to go to. And so I didn't even know this was what I was doing with creating core values. It's gotten deeper and deeper into my foundation as I've played on my journey. And the power of six, I already talked about the power of core values, but I listened to Dusty Schwab and his the power or the journey to power.
Oh, the journey to personal power.
Yeah,
Dusty
and
stuff. Yeah.
it goes into core values. It
Hmm.
goes specifically into core values, and I always knew it was powerful. But he talks about a ship going to the harbor, and being the right destination and going towards your destination. And when you know the destination that you're going into, everything becomes easier and everything does fire in all cylinders. And so I wanted to even practice even deeper into my foundation. Even like I go, I know I can take it, I know I'm doing it, but I can do it even more and I can do it even better. And so what I did was I ended up writing my core values down. And what's interesting, as you go through your journey, having them written down, it holds you even more accountable to them. It makes it even more real. It's like a contract to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, having it written down and putting it on a vision board, you know, if you don't have it written down, if it doesn't get clear, you're like that sailboat without a rudder, you're just blowing in the wind. And
Hmm.
so at the point where you can get really clear, that becomes your rudder, that's going to steer your ship. And getting really clear with your values, what you really stand for at your core, understanding what's driving you is really everything. Like, what do you value the most? The moments that we're in conflict, and you know this better than anybody else. I don't need to describe it, but the moment that we're in this conflict, we're really in conflict with our values internally. We're really in conflict with, we see something out there that's external and we say, that's not right. That's not okay. It's rubbing up against something inside of us that we value more importantly than that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just and so this hyper response of, polar response of this is bad,
Hmm.
comes from that value, what you value the most. So recognizing that, um, how do you deal with that? That's my truth, right? This is how I get to this place of when I have a trigger, when I have a response, an auto response, I use my values as a gauge because I test it. I go, what was it about that statement or that experience that I'm having right now, this trigger? What was it that I'm holding on to so tightly?
Hmm.
What am I attached? What value is it? Where's we all want to know we're accepted and connected. And when we see these violations of values, we go, how do we align then? How do I, rather than just repel and walk away and not have relationship? But we're all relational beings. We're meant to be in relationship. We're not meant to be on an island. We don't, figure these things out all by ourselves, just sitting
Yeah.
in the garden. I
Yeah.
don't grow by myself inside the garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I look at the journey as being an opportunity to rub up against the challenge, because I think the challenge does help us grow. If And each person's challenge is going to be different. Each person's going to go after what works for them. So maybe a challenge for you, for instance, maybe you have the experience, right? And to stay within your experience, regardless of what's happening, regardless of anybody else's world, you want to live in your world.
Ooh, that's interesting because I was having a conversation with Steve. I had to go to the bank yesterday and open 2 new accounts because I just started 2 new companies, and I had to go to the bank, and I'm in traffic coming home, and I'm going, man, I don't live in everybody else's world.
Hmm.
Like, I just don't. I don't live in everybody else's world. This daily grind of traffic that everybody goes to and goes and humps this go to work and this grind. That's not my life. And I'm so far disconnected, so far removed that it's difficult for me to relate, right? It can be very difficult for me to relate to, because that's where people are immersed. They're immersed in that traffic, in that hamster wheel. And and it was by fortune, my head just popped. It exploded and said, hey, time out. You got to, we've got to regroup. And I had to rebuild everything. And, yeah, I don't even remember what the question was because I got off on my own story, right?
Hmm.
I got off on my own story. Well, when we have friends like you and I have this relationship, we pull each other back in to show, to reflect the highest ideal of who we are.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you can't get out here too far and think you're something bad before I go, hey, dude, I know you. I love
Hmm.
you. You're that.
Yeah.
Like, don't get, so we're like bumper cars for one another. We surround
Hmm.
ourselves with these incredible people that really help us to elevate our game, because this
Absolutely.
is just a game.
Yeah.
It's all a game.
Yeah. And I love how you bring up elevation. I just finished I talked with you yesterday and Steve, and I was checking my body mechanics. Me and Steve went through some body mechanic exercises, and some people would look at it and say, well, you're an athlete. You're already an athlete. Like, why are you checking that? And it's like, I want to see how far greatness can go. Like, I want to see how great I can feel. And so when I look at greatness within, it is for me and it is for others. Like, I want to see how great I can feel, and I want to see how great others can feel. And what's even more interesting about it is I feel even better when others are feeling good or feeling great. So it's like this consistent mirroring effect of seeing how high you can elevate one another. A rising tide
Mhm.
brings in all ships.
Well, that's why I hitched my wagon to your train, though. So
Yeah.
I know a good thing when I see it, and I know what's real.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Absolutely.
all do, right? I mean, every once in a while you'll bite into a really juicy, think you got a really nice looking apple because the skin is so, inviting, and then you bite into it and it's like, no, no, but you're the real deal, man. I eat you up.
Yeah.
I hooked it to the train, and let's go, because there's no stopping. And when Clifford Stark says, hey, look, I want to touch 1 billion people, I know that's real. I know that is absolutely freaking real. And it's like, okay, that's no BS. How are we going to do it?
Yeah.
Let's Okay, we do that together. We do that
Yeah.
with one another. No one does this by themselves. And so
Yeah.
let's go.
And I love that. I love that. So I'm going to share my core values with
Hmm.
everyone and what I want everyone to do, right? Do things on your terms. Do things when they work for you. Everybody's in different spaces and different places. I had never written my core values down before. I actually wrote them down after listening to Dusty, right?
Wow.
I was listening to Dusty and I said, "You know what? That is important." Like because I'm aware enough to know that I can't be completely aware. It's not possible. No human being can do it. And some may try, but I'm aware enough to know that I'm not the no one is aware enough to know all things and be all things. So I'm always looking and understanding and seeing what can I see. I'm the curious expert, I call it. And so going through it, I go my four values that I really stand by are integrity, transparency, courage, and empathy. And I kind of circle around them and say, and I'm always going to be solution based. No matter what's happening, I know there's a solution in there somewhere, even if I don't see it right away.
You said integrity?
Integrity, transparency,
Hmm.
courage, and empathy.
Empathy. Okay. Integrity. That makes absolute sense. Absolutely integral. Transparency. This is interesting. So we'll share our core values. Since you're sharing yours integrity, transparency,
Mhm.
courage, and empathy. And mine are passion, right? Passion, from the depth, the
Yeah.
deepest place. It's like akin to life itself, just being alive, and that's that passion. And transparency is the same thing in my mind as authenticity, right? Authentic. Are you
Yeah.
being your real self? Are you being your truth? Are you really being transparent? Authentic. Is this? And that's, so for me, that's authentic. Yours is courage. What I authentic. And integrity. Yeah, integrity.
Mhm.
Integral. So different on the value, on the value ladder, like what you hold most dear. What is integral for me? It's be alive. Like akin to that breath, that passion, the deepest place in my heart, my love. That's that life,
Mhm.
that breath, that God breath that flows through, just to be alive. And authenticity, integrity. I kind of put them in those four. And now, how does empathy? How do you value empathizing with another? That means connecting, like hearing, feeling, seeing, being where they are in the moment. Is
Yeah.
that what is does that mean does that mean the same thing to you?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're literally feeling what that person's feeling in the best way that you can, in the best way that you can describe it. And even if you don't, you try to. You try to. Because the more you do that, the more the alignment of the relationship becomes. So it goes both ways.
I, I'm looking at mine on paper and looking at yours on paper, just going integrity, transparency, courage, and empathy. And like courage for me, this is why we're so aligned, because these words,
Hmm.
they're just words,
Yeah.
but they convey a feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
They convey this feeling and this alignment of feeling. And so we ask ourselves, why are we so deeply connected, and why do we have such elevated conversations and are able to go up the mountain, if you will, like
Hmm.
with ease?
Yeah.
Why are we able to demonstrate life like what would be struggle for many, right? But at ease, at a pace of ease, and it's almost this dance with life. Your values guide you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, big time. And I'll tell you on my fighting journey, what I love so much about fighting was you got to see who you were. Every time day came around, and no, actually, not you got to see who you were. You got to see who you were in your scaredest moments, because I think that's important for people to see. Like, who are you when you're nervous, when you're uncomfortable, when things are hard?
Mhm.
Because I want to know who I am when I'm like that. Because I feel it's easy to do right by people when you're feeling good about yourself. Like, oh man, I'm feeling great. Let's go do some great things. But I want to know who I can become when things are really, really difficult, when things are really, really challenging.
I I guess I've already experienced enough challenge, you know. It's like, okay, yeah, but so challenging in the way that is inviting. Like, so inviting a challenge and looking at at a mess,
Hmm.
right? So how do you look at your garden? How do you look at your life? How do you look at your history? How are you paying attention to what are the stories, the past stories, right? That you're feeding all of this. And so how hard, how hard, how arduous isn't really necessarily the words that I choose, right?
Hmm.
I actually choose a different, because it's the experience that I want to have is actually more of a flow state, is more of
Hmm.
a place of, just being pono, just being in the flow.
Yeah.
And again, that was like, this isn't my reality. This world that's so arduous, and everybody's got a beep 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 beep, fly by you, and you go, oh, that was interesting. And then you
Yeah.
take your foot off the gas for just a minute, and you watch all of the cars just disappear, and then you got a little pocket, right? And then you're
Hmm.
just sitting here all by yourself in this little pocket, and the whole rest of the tree freeway. What do I got? Cooties? What, I mean, dude, what did I do that was so magical that all of a sudden, I got this little pocket and buffer when everybody else is in this jam? Like,
Yeah.
I am in my own world, bro.
All right, we're gonna come back to that. There's commenters. Robert, thanks for showing up. Appreciate your support, sir. Robert actually is the owner of iNetpreneur, and yeah, I'm one of the chairs in the Phoenix location. But Robert and Sean, amazing, amazing individual. So I'm glad to have him with us. And he put, I believe that to carry the core values through, you first need to have self love. And I 100% agree with that. Like, if you don't have that self love, your values become very, very weak and brittle. For Gemma, she put, the question we should be asking ourselves is, are we ready to be accountable? The
Mm.
scariest question, one of the scariest questions for people to ask, because what a coach does a really good job at, a really good job at, is making you aware of something that you weren't once aware of and helping you see how it can be either a big problem or a big solution. What I love about Rick is Rick lives very abundantly. And what's interesting is whether we go into different states. Like, I was talking about last week, what if the sun goes out of orbit, right? Like, what if things are chaotic? And to me, there's always a solution. And Rick says, hey, he's latching onto me. And so, regardless of what's happening, I know there's a solution in the chaos. I'll go into the chaos to let my team know, because some of my team might not want to go into the chaos. And that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I'm cool with it. I'm gonna
I like having pit bulls, man. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
come on, bro.
I'm gonna go into the chaos and figure out like, hey, I figured out the pattern. Like, it
Dude,
was a little bit tough, but here it is. And
yeah,
so
you and
speaking
that
about like,
honeycomb.
yeah, your world is your world. And I would never rip you from your world. It's
Yep.
not my place to do. But what I can say is, all right, if you happen to ever be in the other world, if it ever happens, to let you know that your world is still there and your world is still safe and abundance is always here.
That's why.
Abundance is always here because we
That's
got
why I
solutions.
hitched. That's
Yeah,
why I
we have
hitched my
solutions
train to your
all day
wagon.
long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
All day long.
yeah,
And we're
man.
like, oh, there's a wall. Cool. What are we going to do? Are we going to climb over it? Are we going to go around it? Are we going to dig under it? Are we going to run through it? What are we doing? I'm going to try 1,000,001 different ways and I'll figure out the one that works. And then I'll come back and let you all know how we do it. That's what we do.
Superman. Do you get? Yeah. Here, let me go find this. It's on my shelf.
Okay.
It's on my shelf.
Well,
I know where it's at.
we all need chaos to get the solution. Amen. Yes.
Yeah, you got to awaken the
Awaken the
superhero.
superhero within. Yep. And that's where, so it goes so strong because courage. Courage means I'm going to stand up no matter what. No matter what. If it's scary, it's okay. I got your back. If you're in a great place, that's awesome. Let's have some fun. But we always have a solution. We always figure out what we need to do. And we're a tribe.
Yeah,
We're
we
a
are.
tribe. We
Yeah,
all
we
have
are.
our pieces when we all have our places. And we make it work the way it needs to work.
Ah, dude, you're a powerhouse, man. I love playing with you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for showing me things that I would not know without your help, without your perception. Uh, Robert said, "Semper Fi." That is my son, Robert. That is my son. He is, and thank you. Yeah, I probably had some influence,
Nice.
and the influence was probably just thanking all of the servicemen every time we come across them. Maybe he just liked to hear that and knew he wanted to be the tip of the spear and just serve. He's got a servant's heart. I couldn't have, you know, I couldn't be more proud of that young man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You
Thanks,
know,
Robert.
those things are heartwarming and the absolute biggest things because that touches me. I do what I do for me, and I do what I do for my community. And I actually had a video talking about the ego. And said, "Oh, you watched it actually," and I talk about the importance of having balance, on being able to be strong in all ends, be able to be strong for you, but also for the people that you care about and the people that you serve. And when a dad is proud of a son, there's no words to it. There just isn't, because a dad proud of a son and a son proud of a dad. Like, I'm getting emotional just talking about it. It's huge.
It is, man. You cherish the moments that you have. If your parents are still alive and you have the opportunity to witness their life, to be that love, man. I got to spend some time with my dad, and
Mhm.
my dad was always proud of me,
Yeah.
even when I screwed up. Even when he was picking me up off the floor or something. I mean, he was still. He's like, Captain Rick, there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't do. And so here's the charge, right? My dad believed in me enough to give me everything, to show me from the deepest place in his heart how to love my mom, how to love his children, how to come from the deepest place in his heart. When we don't always get everything right, like in right from the sense of, we have heartbreaks, we have hurts, we fall down, we skin our knee,
Yeah.
and yet we look back and we look at each gift, and we don't even know the gift unless we're present.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
staying in that moment of presence with the ones that you love, and nurturing those, like when I see my children, like they're perfect.
Mm.
They're perfect. They're showing up for me in a way that that causes me to pause, because if there's anything less than just absolute adoration for who they are in that moment, then there might be something going on inside of me. Yeah, I'm not talking about when they're throwing themselves on the floor and kicking and screaming, and you know,
Mm.
but just testing life
Yeah.
and borders and boundaries, because we're always living on the edge. And so can we provide a wonderfully nurturing environment for the ones that we love, so that they can really just be who it is they came into this world to be, so
It's
that they're
powerful.
not afraid to dream, to live that out. And that's really my cause, right? If I don't show that, if I don't come out and be that, then boy, I got no excuse. I can't say, hey, why aren't you following your heart? Why aren't you, no, because I got to lead that way. I can't talk into that if I'm not being that.
Hmm. Yeah.
But drive, now that, and could be another conversation. Some people will never be driven. They don't, drive isn't just, or do you believe that drive can be, because anybody can be driven if with the right motivation?
I, I think you just answered it.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably right.
that's how I feel. I've had so as I'm going through my journey. Oh, and real quick, of course, your dad's proud of you, Rick. I'm proud of you, and that's from
Oh,
Jim.
thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Gemma. Love you, Gemma. Gemma, she
So
was also talking. Gemma was, forgive me, Clifford.
no, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Oh, she was just saying that Gemma was asking earlier about struggling with being empathetic.
Mhm.
Being one of her top values. She said empathy is trust with the right person. You have to learn empathy. And she said, I struggle with empathy. I feel I have too much empathy. Can
Mhm.
you address that, Clifford?
Yeah. So you can have too much empathy for others and not enough empathy for yourself. Empathy's a two-way street, and it's a balance. Just as you were talking about figuring out your boundaries, you have to figure out what you'll tolerate and what you will not tolerate, and you have to take responsibility for those pieces. So much so, knowing that if you could be trained to do something, you can be untrained to do something as well. If you're showing up for everybody and you're never showing up for yourself, you don't have to keep doing that. You can choose something different. And it's not to say that the different choice won't feel uncomfortable at first. Anything new is going to feel a little bit different. But it is to say, if you practice certain things enough time, and if you surround yourself with people who will allow you to practice it in the way that you need to, the process becomes a lot easier. So I always say, know who your support system is, know who you're surrounding yourself with, and be really clear in what you want and who you want to be. Because when you're clear on that, they'll actually help you get there.
Hmm. Rock star. Well said. Gemma, being on the spectrum, I find it intensely difficult. It's a it's a video I have done already, but I need to do another one because there is many different tactics.
There is the tactics are actually limitless. Depending on the individual and where they're at. Like even with Rick talking about being driven and with the right motivation. I pride myself in my clients doing very, very well because I listen so intently to them. I can't say oh, you need a screwdriver, without really hearing their problem, without really hearing how they're seeing the problem or hearing the problem or conditioning the problem into themselves, because sometimes that happens too. And so as we listen intently to other people and really, really closely in what their needs are and what their desires are and what their goals are, and also know what our own are, because
Yeah.
sometimes people can get in trouble without seeing, like, okay, how capable or competent are you in helping this person with that? And when you can understand, okay, I see the problem and I see the solution through my perspective, and this is what I can give. This is what I can offer. Call it I think Jay Abraham actually says this, your trusted advisor. We are trusted advisors. We listen super, super close. We listen specifically to what it is that you need. What is it that you're looking for? And we figure out how to provide it to you.
Hmm. The and if you're we've got a Facebook user, so no name and great comments, by the way. And we are using StreamYard. So if you, I don't know how you register it before you come on the video, and it'll actually show your comments. So if we are using StreamYard. Uh, so this Facebook user, and feel free to type in your name, who it is. It says, "Drive takes courage. Sounds like you both have a strong foundation of support and unconditional love. Fear of failure can leave people paralyzed and comfortable, safe, can leave people paralyzed. Fear, foundation of support and unconditional love. Fear of failure can leave people paralyzed and comfortable, safe." Oh, being in that safe.
Safe
Fear of
space. Yeah.
failure. Fear of failure. Fear of failure. Do you want to address that?
Yeah. So 100% right on that one. When you're afraid of something happening to you, you just make sure it doesn't happen to you. When the truth is, you have to learn lessons along the way to get to that growing space. But if people are judging you and breaking you down and telling you how foolish you are and how you have your F and yada yada yada, whatever it may be, it's like, well, I'm better off just being like everybody else. And that actually triggers me right now, even saying that out loud. I don't like that game. I don't like the, hey, just be like everybody else. F that. F that. And I'll tell everybody until I'm blue in the face to go after your dreams, go after your goals, go after your hopes, go after your desires. Because 9 out of 10 people want what's best for them and what's best for others. They're just trying to figure it out. They're trying to put it together. And they play that small game of, let me just stay here and wait for someone else to do something. Let me wait for someone else to live their greatness to make me feel like I can live mine. And that's part of my game. That when I wake up every morning, it's like, how far can I go to give people fewer and fewer excuses to their own greatness, to their own abilities, to their not playing safe? Like, don't play safe. Playing safe is the most dangerous game you can play. Because when you play safe, you play in a place of, just as you talk about, comfortability. And when you play too comfortable, you miss out on all the experiences you can have on your journey. You miss out on all the growth that you can have.
Yeah, it just reinforces what we're experiencing together, why you know, we take it to the edge. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that we're constantly growing, because we're either growing or we're dying. And
Yeah.
they're just limiting beliefs. You strip one limiting belief after the other until you figure out who you really are. And there's nothing you can't do. There's
Not even close.
not even close. We don't
Not
even,
even
we
close.
haven't
Like,
even tapped what we really are.
I won't go too deep into it. Yeah, I won't go deep into it, but talking about just the belief that something is possible. Like all it starts with is a belief. The second they have the belief, they're like, oh crap, maybe I really can do this. And then it gets a little bit scary because then it's action time. Once they believe, like truly believe that they can do it, then it's time to take action. But it gets scary until it gets exciting. I say like it might be a little bit scary, but it gets exciting quick.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of take it from you use benchmarks to test yourself in your experience, and whether that's on the professional side or however your personal best,
Mm-hmm.
are you for what purpose? And I'm looking at myself right now, and with all of the experience that I've had in 20 years in business and in life, as a holistic entrepreneur, as a real estate developer, as a broker, but more importantly, as a father and as a husband and as a friend, because that's what really defines me.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back to who am I first? I'm married to Chastel Ely. This is my bride. This is a force in the world that is equal to me, and we are creating our world together. And whether we, you know, this is, and then I have this family, these children that I'm a father to. This is everything,
Yeah.
And then it goes out to my family and my extended family and my deep friendships and friends and these relationships that I serve that are dear to me, that are reflections and perceptions of that I wouldn't see without them. And my friend Thomas Fuji flew in from Vegas, spent 3 days with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like I see his kids and I go, dude, I'm gonna watch these kids get married one day.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna have life experience of not just passing by. We're making friendships for life.
Yeah.
We're creating that. It's not, a mile long and an inch deep. It's it's an inch wide and a mile deep. It's a
Yeah.
mile deep. It's the depth of the relationship, and when you peel it back and you're able to get to that and trust yourself and who you are, you can develop relationships like Clifford and I have, to where you literally there's nothing you can't do, and you'll find people to support you in who you want to be, in the highest ideal of who you want to be. You won't find you know, those naysayers will kind of skip to the wayside. They'll go to the back of the line. You won't hear their voices anymore when you find the right people on your
Yeah, that's
bus.
very
You
true.
get them on your bus. Those naysayers, those voices, they will go away. You won't
Yeah.
hear them. You won't hear them anymore. It'll be drowned out with all of your cheers, all of the cheers for you and what you've been doing to get to the place that you are right now. Celebrate that. Celebrate that.
I tell you, 100% true. Um, Not only the cheers for you, but the things that you've done on your journey. Because when you feel big, you do big things. Like that's just what happens. Like I'm kind of shocked. I'm already on my second book, and I'm doing a 5-day challenge too, Rick. So I don't even know if I've even mentioned that to you.
Well, yeah, you said that yesterday, and I'm going,
Yeah,
okay, I got my
I'm
notes. I got to get back to my
I'm doing
notes.
it
What was
May
it?
10th. Yeah, it's gonna start on May 10th. So I'm doing it. So Cliff is a cheerleader. Yeah, I can be a cheerleader. My whole thing is you keep standing up no matter how many times you fall. You stand up again and again and again. And not only the cheerleader, I like playing in the game. I like cheering you on, but I like getting in the game too. I like being the person who says, you go get the reps in, you go put the reps in as much as you have to put the reps in until you learn the lessons that you need to learn. And then you just have fun along the way. And so as I've gone through this, it was like I went through the process of people talking trash, people trying to bring you down. And I realized they're not even trying to bring you down just to bring you down. It's not even personal. It's they're bringing you down because of their broken dreams, their broken promises, their broken actions, their brokenness. And so you just keep going up and you keep going up and you keep going up and you keep shining bright. And just how you talk about why is all the traffic splitting out? Like what's going on? Like am I here by myself? And then you start seeing more people like you. You know, when you get the power of 6, that unshakable faith, and then you go into take responsibility and greatness within, then you start seeing more people like you who are like, yeah, I think we can touch 1 billion people. Wow, that sounds exciting, touching 1 billion people.
It's Pono.
Yeah. It went from you can't lose weight, you're going to be fat. That was the first one. The first one. That was the easiest one. Losing weight. And people are going to doubt you on something so small. But people also cheer you on for something so big. See, we're all just trying to figure it out, all playing the game. But the people who grow consistently and go, okay, I reached that goal. Let me do a bigger one. Okay, let me try a bigger one.
Man, I've had big goals and crashed hard. Like, who buys a freaking mountain, dude? I don't know. I don't know who buys a mountain. You know, I mean, yeah, you get to an elevated place where you think you got, you know, a high net worth, net worth of 20 million. You go down to -10 and it takes you 7 years to get back to break even to know that, oh, I was thinking wrong.
Yeah.
I had the wrong thinking the whole time. I was busy bailing, I mean, you stop fishing when the boat's sinking, right? Oh, you're bailing water, bailing water, bailing water. You stop fishing, you stop living. You're just bailing water, and just to stay afloat. And you go,
Yeah.
At some point, do I got to climb up onto the masthead and find new shore, or at what point do you get back to living, right? Because you have to have a new vision of what you want to experience, and your dominant thoughts, you'll live them out.
Absolutely.
You'll live out your dominant thoughts. And so if you're not thinking,
couple from Gemma.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So she says, fear of failure, I go through that every day. Being on the spectrum, I fear I fail all the time because people like to tell me you're not autistic. I feel I let down the autistic community. People are going to say what they're going to say. Doesn't really matter what they say. If you feel a certain way, feel the way that you need to feel and live your truth. Because they're going to try and have you live theirs. That's the name of the game sometimes. And then but I know I'm not failing. I am succeeding. I am proud to be autistic. It says the goals have to be reasonable.
Yeah, realistic, right?
Yeah.
A realistic goal, a smart goal.
Yeah. I look at and my only challenge in a for you way, Gemma, is reasonable is debatable. It's always debatable, so reasonable to who? Because some people might say like, man, I just want to lose 5 pounds. Like, okay, well, how quickly do you want to lose 5 pounds? Whenever I can get it. And then if you have a personal trainer who has this skill set to say, well, would you lose 40 pounds if you could? Like, oh, well, absolutely. I just don't think that I can. And so it's yeah, you're right. Reasonable is always subjective. Like it depends who you're. So talk to big people. I think that's the biggest thing to say. Is the most important thing I want to be. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the person in the room, in the round table, listening closely, telling what it is that I want to do and listening to what people are saying.
I am the master of my own meaning, right? And I'm the master of the meaning that somebody is giving me, and I want to understand their meaning. It's their truth. It's their, but I don't. It doesn't have to be my truth, right? We can.
That's true. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be my truth, and that is the truth is truth. That's your truth. That's your belief. That's what's holding your world together. Like that's your model of the world, and I respect your model of the world. Here's what holds mine together. If you're interested, it's not that it's this way of thinking. Like what you were talking when you were speaking, my mind was having a conversation. Was in the conversation I just had before I got on the phone. Like, who am I calling?
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling the largest the guy who has the freaking it's building the Ritz Carlton and the waterfront in Portland, and I'm calling him up and I'm going. I'm thinking about I'm building 25 units in Hermiston. I'm looking at long-term finance debt. I said, who do I know that has the pulse?
Yeah.
Who do I know that has the pulse? He's all Rick. You'll be just fine over there. God. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah. Who do I know who has the pulse that actually that is spending billions of dollars, right, and navigating in an industry, and I'm just talking about a tiny little piece of it, but who do I know that can give me the information that's going to give me, he said, if you're doing it in Portland, run.
Yeah.
I said, no,
Yeah.
I'm out here in Hermiston. He goes, oh, Rick, you're going to be great.
Yeah.
Here, what are your building costs? Oh man, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a phone call. I'll make a couple of phone calls for you.
Yeah.
What do you want? You want debt or you want equity? How much you need? I'll make a phone call for you. I'll call you later this week. Damn, dude. It's like, wait a minute. Sometimes it's not what you know. It's who you know. It's who you know and who you trust. And are you going to believe in the information? Well, gee, the guy's doing this much work. He's doing this. I think he knows what he's talking about. I think he knows what he's talking about.
Who you know and who you trust. I didn't mean to cut you off. So powerful. Who you know and who you trust. And that's a new game altogether, right? Where it took me time to realize that was the game that I played. Like I was playing the game, not realizing I was playing the game. And fighting in the UFC, what did I do? I went straight to a coach who had gotten people into the UFC, right? And connected with him, learned to trust him, and he learned to trust me. It's a process, just like anything. Losing weight. I started reading up on fitness books nonstop, and I learned the lessons that I needed to learn. And I didn't realize just how ignorant I was on what nutrition was and how certain companies brand. I'm not going to throw those companies under the bus right now, but they brand a certain way to say we're healthy, but they're really not, right? And now in my entrepreneurial journey, as I'm meeting so many power players and going, oh, wait, I don't need to know everything. Like I don't have to be the only person taking all the actions. I can find the people that I need to find to get to where I need to go. I was on the conversation on yesterday with a real estate agent, and I'm looking to connect with real estate agents, as you know, Rick. And she said she's a newer agent, and she goes, "Well, you've never practiced real estate though?" And I go, "No, not specifically. I have the mindset that I know that you need to get to, but that's my world. I'm not a real estate agent." And she goes, how can you get me the answers that I need if I need a real estate answer? I go, I guarantee I can get you the answer in a week. And that's me taking time, like guaranteed, because of the connections that I've built. You have
It'd take you less than a week because all you got to do is call me.
It would take me.
I'm a managing broker in both Oregon and Washington. I've been a developer, an investor, a lender. I think I've covered the real. If you got a real estate question and I don't know how to answer it, man, I know where to point you. So you got it covered. Okay, you've got a network.
I believe it would take me one day.
Yeah.
And the reason I told her a week was because I want to, like, worst case scenario. I'm like one of
Sure.
those worst case scenarios. I'll figure it out in a week. And that's what I love about the tagline, a fighter who will fight for you. That's what I'm doing, Robert. A fighter who will fight for you. I think you're going to like it. Robert just commented again too. Feelings are only thing that is real. Thoughts are interpretations. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Feelings are powerful. And
Well,
when people realize just how powerful they are, they respect them a lot more. I'll say that much.
you know what? I had to originally. I had some resistance to you coaching eh, uh, real estate agents. I mean, I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Like,
Yeah,
that's not your." And then I realized, you know what? You've been coaching me the whole time. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not just a real estate agent, bro. I'm a freaking holistic entrepreneur beyond just being a real estate agent, right? And if you've categorized yourself as a real estate agent and you just put yourself in a little tiny little bubble box, right? It's
mhm,
just we're human beings, not human doings. And
yeah,
real estate is a privilege. Like it's
yeah.
real. It's not ethereal. It's tangible and it has real consequences. And so when you're playing in real estate, you're creating an estate in something that is real.
Absolutely. And you know what's really cool? Now that you bring that up, I knew I was going the right direction because I felt comfortable even with you challenging it. Like it just felt okay. It felt like the right thing to do. And that, like, courage it's a very sticky one because sometimes it's like, okay, am I being courageous taking Gemma goes into reasonable, right? There is a point where reasonable is very important. It's largely important. It's a piece of the game. And being stubborn and obnoxious just for the sake of doing it and going after things and running after things, that's not courageous. That's ridiculousness. That's craziness. But being courageous and saying, like, okay, I see something here and I don't know what I see, and I know I'm going to be a little bit nervous about doing it, but I feel like I'm going to learn so much from doing it and from playing that deep, deep game. And so let me try. And I'm really happy that I did it. I've learned so much, and I'm part of Don Hobbs. Thank you for inviting me. But it's like, yeah, I get to learn and absorb so much into my journey and create so many lasting relationships.
Well, what's really fascinating is like you're in an inner circle right now that with Don, yeah, Don was Jim Rohn's right hand,
Yeah,
and Don had been coaching not only, I mean, he was right there with Tony Robbins coming up. Him and Tony are really good friends, and Don is now the president of Success Magazine. Uh,
yeah,
he'd never aligned himself with a real estate company because he had, uh, he had Hobbs Herder. He was coaching millions of real estate agents. He's coached millions of real estate over the course of his career. That's what he had done. And I find it fascinating, because I've spent a lot of time with Don, and on the surface, when we're in this and we're just clipping right along, I've had deep, meaningful spiritual conversations with the man. And I
mhm,
and I know his heart. I know what he's doing. And it's just like there are no limits. I mean, the guy's the president of Success Magazine, and they'll take my phone call, and I'm just so grateful and thankful to have a relationship like that. I don't know how I got to be so lucky. Like I don't know how. Like I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'll never be. What is it that makes me special? That I can have relationships with people that are doing incredible things in life. that are leading in the direction like you are, that are leading in the direction of what they want to experience, and they're not letting anything hold them back. Like what company do I want to keep? Right? What
Yeah.
company do I want to keep that keeps me moving in that direction? And there's no limits to what we can do.
This is who you are, my brother. You are the smartest Rick in the room. You are the smartest Rick in the room. You are Captain effing Rick. And that's where when I say I don't want to be the smartest man in the room, but you best believe I'm going to be the smartest Clifford Starks in the room.
Right.
I'm going to show up fully as Clifford effing Starks, ready to go to work. Just as Rick is going to show up fully, because that's what I'm going to make sure you do, no matter what, as Captain Rick. You play your game.
Yeah, man.
Every time.
Thank you, Clifford. I'm so thankful to be hitched to your train, dude. It's a heck of a ride, man. It's a heck of a ride.
We got this.
Love you. Aloha.
I got a Robert. Yeah, I actually have to take off here in a bit. But Robert says, I need you both in the iNetpreneur Real Estate Academy. Oh, yeah. So I have gone to the Real Estate Academy. Very, very cool. And I learned a lot from going through that process. It is not just about the physical. It's about the journey. Having the physical is a manifestation of the thought. Oh, Robert, you would have so much fun with Rick. Like, you guys will talk such business. It's going to be great. And then Gemma, Rick, what? Oh, okay. I thought she was asking a question. Rick, what makes you special is you being you. You are a leader and my friend. This is how we do it.
That's how we roll.
This is the game we play. And Gemma, you're going to love to know, because I know you mentioned Tony Robbins. You're way closer to him than you realize. Like the game that I'm playing, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm literally a step away from some of the most powerful people in the world now.
You understand, they're all stepping down and somebody has to step up and lead, guys.
Yeah.
Who's that going to be?
Yeah.
Is it you?
Absolutely.
Is it you,
Absolutely.
Clifford Starks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm going for this. Yeah. I'm moving nonstop. Yeah, I'm moving nonstop.
Look out.
The more we all do this, the more we play the game. And here's the other piece. So, Gemma, you're really going to love this. So my 3 audiences, all right, entrepreneurs, teachers, mental health advocates. And I have my reason for all 3. And if you keep following me, you'll see why I'm doing that. But I have a reason for why I'm doing what I'm doing. And we're changing the world together. When I said 1 billion, yeah, I didn't lose my mind. It's all starting to make more and more sense as I go through the process.
Robert said, like, I call that the treadmill. I think he was thinking about all of the work that it would be to do that and to be that. And you know what? That is certainly a perception. It could be a treadmill if you wanted to perceive it that, if it wasn't your happiest and highest place. And it could just be a sprint, a jog, or a walk.
Yeah.
And for somebody like Clifford Starks, see, it could be just a sprint, jog, or walk. You know, what's it going to be for you? Because I can see him there. If he says, "Hey, that's where I want to be," like ain't no stopping that. Ain't no stopping that. Okay, what do I got to do? Oh, we build PonoQuest. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We built PonoQuest. We can do that.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this? Sprint, jog, walk. You have a priceless gift you can give to the world.
I do.
Yeah.
And it is a sprint, jog, walk, rest. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I think maybe Robert, you might want to just send Robert that sprint, jog, walk, rest.
I will.
Because it won't be a treadmill.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about putting it together.
Hey, I'm putting in the reps, Coach. I'm putting in the reps, but I got a bolt. And I love
it. All right. Appreciate you all. Thank you for stopping through. And you all have an amazing day. Take care.
Aloha.